Wolves were monsters, not metaphorically, literally. If you were a human 30,000 years ago, wolves were one of the things most likely to kill you. They hunted in coordinated packs. They could outrun you. They could outsmell you. They could see in the dark when you couldn't. They had jaws strong enough to crush bone. And that animal became this. 900 million dogs on Earth right now, sleeping in our beds, detecting cancer, guiding the blind, wearing birthday hats. But here's the part nobody tells you. Humans didn't domesticate the wolf domesticated itself, and the process started before any human even noticed it was happening. Picture an Ice Age camp, 20 to 50 people, firelight, darkness beyond the edge of camp filled with things that want to eat you, and wolves circling just outside that light. Now here's what most people get wrong. Those wolves weren't hunting the humans. They were hunting the garbage. Hunter-gatherers were messy. Bones, scraps, half-eaten carcasses left behind every single night. To a wolf, a human camp wasn't a threat. It was a free buffet that moved across the landscape and replenished itself daily. At first, only the boldest wolves crept close enough to eat. The aggressive ones got speared. The terrified ones starved. But a small number, the ones who were calm enough to stay near humans without attacking, without fleeing, those wolves ate well every night, and they passed that calm down to their pups. Generation after generation, without a single human making a conscious decision, evolution was quietly filtering the wolf population, selecting for one trait above everything else: tolerance of humans. This wasn't a plan, it was an accident, and it's one of the most profound accidents in the history of life on Earth. In 1959, a Soviet geneticist named Dmitry Belyaev decided to watch domestication happen in real time. He took wild silver foxes, genuinely aggressive, genuinely dangerous animals, and ran a simple experiment. Every generation he bred only the calmest individuals. That's all. No training, no tricks, just selection for one thing: low aggression toward humans. Within 10 generations, the foxes were seeking human attention. Within 20, they were wagging their tails. Within 40, they were emotionally indistinguishable from dogs. But then something happened that nobody predicted. Their bodies started changing. Floppy ears appeared, snouts shortened, fur developed white patches, tails curled upward. These foxes had never been bred for appearance, only personality, but their bodies transformed anyway. Scientists now call this the domestication syndrome. When you select against aggression, you accidentally select for a whole cluster of physical and behavioral traits that seem completely unrelated. Softer faces, smaller teeth, more playful behavior, longer juvenile phases. Nobody fully understands why, but it happens across species after species after species, which means the first proto-dogs, those early wolves creeping toward campfires, were probably starting to look different long before any human thought of them as anything other than wolves. Slightly softer, slightly smaller, slightly less terrifying. And humans noticed. Here's where the story shifts from accident to alliance. Humans are not great at detecting danger. Wolves are extraordinary at it. They hear things before humans do. They smell predators from kilometers away. They track prey through environments that completely defeat human senses. A calm wolf hanging near camp wasn't just stealing scraps anymore. It was an early warning system. If a predator approached, the wolf reacted first. If strangers entered the territory, the wolf reacted first. If prey animals were nearby, the wolf could help locate them. Humans who tolerated wolves near their camps got a biological alarm system they didn't have to build. Wolves who tolerated humans near their territory got reliable food they didn't have to hunt. Both sides survived better together than apart. And here is how significant that is. Dogs are the first domesticated animal in human history. Not sheep, not goats, not horses, dogs. This partnership predates farming. It predates permanent settlements. It predates written language by tens of thousands of years. We had dogs before we had agriculture, before we had cities, before we had metal. Some anthropologists believe that humans with dogs were so dramatically better at hunting that groups without dogs simply couldn't compete. Dogs may not just have been companions, they may have been a technological advantage. One of the reasons Homo sapiens expanded so successfully across the planet. We didn't just adopt an animal. We may have gained a survival edge that changed the course of human history. As humans shifted from hunting to farming, something remarkable happened. Dogs changed again. Wolves cannot digest starch efficiently. Their digestive systems are built for meat. But as humans began eating more grain-based diets, dogs gradually evolved more copies of the gene that produces amylase, the enzyme that breaks down starch. Dogs didn't just stay beside humans. They biologically adapted to match the way humans lived. And the emotional bond deepened in ways that go far below the surface. When a human looks into a dog's eyes, both species release oxytocin, the bonding hormone, the same chemical involved in the connection between a mother and her newborn child. This doesn't happen with wolves, it doesn't happen with any other domesticated animal. Only dogs evolved to trigger that specific neurological response in humans. Your dog staring at you is not random. It is a behavior that was slowly selected for because dogs that could emotionally bond with human brains were cared for better, fed better, and survived better. Dogs even evolved a specific facial muscle, the levator anguli oculi medialis, that wolves don't have. It lets them raise their inner eyebrows. It makes their eyes look larger and more expressive. It produces exactly the look that humans instinctively respond to with care and protection. Puppy dog eyes are not an accident. They are the result of thousands of years of evolution, specifically targeting the human brain. In Germany, archaeologists found a burial site dating back roughly 14,000 years, a man, a woman, and a dog, placed carefully between them. The dog's bones showed signs of severe illness from puppyhood, distemper almost certainly, a disease that would have been completely debilitating for weeks or months, but the dog had survived it, which means the humans had fed it, sheltered it, and kept it alive through the illness deliberately. These were Ice Age people, people who were genuinely fighting to survive, people for whom wasting food on a sick animal that couldn't work was a real sacrifice, and they made it anyway. That grave is not just evidence of dogs. It's evidence of something that looks unmistakably like love, like grief, like the idea that this animal's life mattered beyond its usefulness. 14,000 years ago, before Egypt, before Rome, before almost everything we think of as civilization, and humans were already burying their dogs with the care they gave their own dead. Tonight, there's a good chance a dog is going to fall asleep near you. And when it does, here's what you're actually looking at: an animal whose ancestors chose to approach our campfires when everything about their instincts said to run. An animal that crossed Ice Age landscapes beside us, hunted with us, slept beside us in the dark, and slowly, over thousands of generations, became something evolution had never quite produced before. Not tamed, not trained, not conquered, chosen. Because that's the thing about dogs that separates them from every other animal we've ever lived with. Cats tolerate us, horses work with us, cows provide for us, but dogs, tens of thousands of years ago, made a decision. They looked at the firelight, they looked at the danger, and they came closer anyway. And we've never really been alone since.